Welcome back to another Dad's Bet Baseball team preview sponsored by Hall of Fame Bets. Make sure to use the code DADS to get a 7-day free trial, 50% off your first month. I know everybody that is joining us today is a active user of Hall of Fame Bets in some way. Brackets just came out today. Where are you going to be able to research your March Madness picks? Hall of Fame Bets. They have got college basketball for you, and they are going to be right there for when the MLB season kicks off here in just 10 days. So make sure to use the code DADS to get that 1 week free trial, 50% off of Hall of Fame Bets. 10 days. That is when we kick off opening day with the team we are previewing on this episode, which would be the New York Yankees. And we are joined here by Dad's Bet Baseball, some of our favorite guests to talk about the Yankees. I've been looking forward to this one for a long time. Let's first welcome to the show Colby Marchio. Colby, welcome back.
Wait, did you say this was for the Yankees? Wait, did you say this is for the Yankees? I thought it was for the Guardians.
Oh, right.
Oh, all right. Spencer, take me off.
Joke already. You already stole my joke.
We're re-recording Gab's episode. We're going to record over it and just going to replace it with Colby.
All right. So best hot dog at the Guardians. Center field.
Yeah, center field.
Joining us also another one of our great friends of the show, Scott Reichel Radio, SGPN. Scott, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. It's a question, though. Feels a bit weird talking about the Yankees with a Mets fan on the call. Are you going to be unbiased on the show, or do I have to be worried?
You know what? The thing is, unfortunately, backstage, you had a way better line than this.
I know, but I can't repeat the same line. I can't repeat the same line. That's the problem.
No, unfortunately,
everyone's just going for the shocked face when they heard the joke.
That's okay.
Right.
Don't worry.
I can't make the same joke twice. It is what it is.
We're gonna have a lot of Mets.
The best line was like Colby asking about if we should do like how he's always thinking about a dad move, and my response being just don't jizz inside your girlfriend. You'll never have to do any dad moves. That's my advice.
So, this is
still not
episode.
Still not a bother.
We're about to record. We're 2.5 minutes in, and we're talking about.
And we've lost our sponsor. Yeah,
inseminating Colby's girlfriend, and Scott deciding to use his best joke backstage. All right, New York Yankees. This is I think, a very interesting team to talk about. Although, as our Yankee friends or Yankee fans here, going to be curious to see your opinion if they're actually that interesting or not. So Yankees last season, 94-68. Surprisingly, same record as 2024, the team that made the World Series. I think actually a lot of Yankee fans kind of want to forget that they made the World Series for how they played in that 5-game set. But they did win the same amount of games last year as they did in the previous season. Obviously, they finished second in the AL East behind Toronto via head-to-head tiebreaker. Give the Yankees, though, a lot of credit. They were 22-8 down the stretch, including 8 straight wins. So they put all the pressure on the Birds as they could. Unfortunately, that might have actually also led to their demise because it led to Toronto actually having to give a shit the last couple of weeks. They, according to base runs, I didn't know this, but from a projected record standpoint, if you use base runs on FanGraph, they would have been projected at 162. So they, by some projections, would have been or should have been the best team in baseball. Made the playoffs 8th time in the last 9 seasons. Obviously beat the Red Sox in that 3-game set, and then lost to Toronto in 4. Probably one of my favorite post-game quotes of all of baseball playoffs in the last 10 years was Vlad Guerrero giving the Yankees lose in the interview. That was pretty funny. Pythag was 97 wins. Okay, who's in, who's out? This is going to be really quick because it's Cody Bellinger is back in. He never left, so they brought him back. Ryan Weathers, like that move, trade with the Marlins, adds a rotation depth arm. I guess you can consider, so a lot of these guys, these are just all re-signings, but Trent Grisham, he signed the tender. I don't know how Yankees
brutal
fans,
spring. He's having a
are
brutal
gonna fill up
What's he batting, like 100 in
sure
136.
Get into that more.
He is.
Trent Grisham signed that tender. David Bednar brought him back this year. Paul Goldschmidt and Ryan McMahon. Some of the key guys that they lost, most of them I feel like went to the Mets. Devin Williams, gone. He's over in Queens. Luke Weaver, gone, over in Queens as well. Mark Leiter Jr. never really made an impact on this team. He went over to the Athletics, where he will go to basically die. And then Ian Hamilton went over to the Braves. So this team clearly came back into this season going, look, and this is probably the most Brian Cashman thing to say, is they're looking at the Pythag of 97 wins, the base runs of 100 wins, that they were the best team in baseball down the stretch. Clearly, Yankees management says, well, why don't we just bring the same exact team back, because we should have been the best team in baseball last season, and screw those Blue Jays, screw Canada. We should be able to, from a variance standpoint, come back, and the luck will be in our favor. So let's kick it off. Actually, I'm going to throw it to you, Scott, first. What was the main thing you remember about this 2025 Yankees team?
I think the main thing is about the experience that all Yankees fans had, which was just a certain pain watching this team play, and yet you looked up and they won 94 games. And I feel like Yankees fans, I know that people kind of mock the fan base because of how, I don't know if the word's needy or like how high our expectations are every year, but we were miserable when we won 94 games. Like, I feel like people were hating on this Yankees team, and this team had flaws. They didn't look great against Boston in the first round. They won anyway. Toronto killed them. I mean, it wasn't really that close all season, not just in the playoffs. And yet the Yankees actually finished tied with Toronto in the standings, and then Toronto went to the World Series and arguably should have won the World Series if it wasn't for Rojas in the ninth inning. So there are a couple ways to look at it, but I think the main experience that I have looking back on it was how much Yankees fans disliked this team just for them to still win 94 games.
As someone who does a show with you 3 to 4 times a week, and most of the time on our prop show, we had a specific Yankee that actually would find his way on there, I can vouch for the fact that you were miserable the entire time when talking about this team.
But it wasn't just me. It was every
also
Yankees
Toronto,
fan.
like that Toronto series, like the time of Toronto, like smoked the F out of them, like, because the lasting image, we talked about this on our last one, was like the Kirk Grand Slam, like all that, like it was like
Vlad
it was
hitting the Grand
stop.
Slam,
He's already
Max
Vlad
Fried's
Grand Slam.
And,
he's already dead. Stop. It's like, so yeah.
In the regular season too, Toronto just completely destroyed them. I think all Yankees fans knew, even though they made the World Series a couple years ago and did lose to the Dodgers pretty convincingly, that team did have a couple of moments. Of course, Soto was on that team, but same record as you said before, so there wasn't really much of a drop-off without Soto. I do think this team still has the same issues as last year, obviously, because it's the same damn roster. Having said that, we're talking about regular season right now. So if you get to 94 last year and Toronto has some regression, in theory, maybe the status quo is good enough. But I know Colby's going to agree with me in a second. There were some seriously annoying situations as a Yankee fan last year where they have not addressed their flaws for about a decade and a half. Just being honest.
Yeah. No, he's completely right. It's people get on us Yankee fans because we're one of the most unique fan bases in the sense of we're one of the only fan bases that is rooting for World Series or bust, championship or bust, because that's all we should be doing, really, in the mindset of things, like as a fan. But if insert terrible team won 94 games, we would be talking about it every day because it'd be like a complete change, a complete shift. The culture is winning in New York for the Yankees. Now, it, like you said, the second half, this is basically second half's team of last year. They're going into this year, it's the second half's team. And we know we weren't going to get rid of Boone. I want Boone gone more than anything. I have been saying for 2 years now, I wish the Yankees lost to the Royals in the first round of the playoffs last year, because then Boone would have lost his damn job. But no, he went to the World Series. He lost to one of the best teams of all time. You know, he can get another year. Coming into last year, oh, well, he didn't have Garrett Cole. It really wasn't a full healthy season. We'll give him another year. It's just always excuses. They can win 100 games, and if they still look like complete crap other than the obvious greatest right-handed hitter of right now going on, there's nothing great about the team. There's a lot of juice that leaves the building when Judge is especially not in that lineup, and you can feel it and you can see it. Their want to win is weird, and the fact that they still won 94 games is pretty impressive. Scott, do you think it was impressive? Because hearing 94 didn't feel like 94 wins last year. I mean, they did end pretty hot, but they had so many cold streaks where it's like, this team's not even going to make the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, the fact is they finished tied with Toronto, and Toronto won the tiebreak to win the division. And yet the entire season, Yankees fans, including us, I'm sure, looked around and said, this team is way better than us. How do they also have 94 wins? But I feel like going into a playoff series, the Yankees fans in general, I think are going to always overrate the team. I think that true diehard Yankees fans know that the team has been flawed for a while. And it's not just the actual manager. I'm not a Boone guy either. Cashman has an infinite leash as well. I can't stand Hal Steinbrenner. There are a lot of issues upstairs with this team as well. But I think the main point is the Yankees were a flawed team last year that somehow won 94 games, and Yankees fans are kind of stuck because we wanted a more active offseason. But I'm not surprised that Cashman and company made a couple of small moves like normal. But the big acquisition is Garrett Cole being available for a decent portion of the season, even though he's not going to be available for probably the first month and change.
Hey, but Ryan Weathers.
So,
Ryan Weathers. Yeah. Hey, Ryan Weathers.
Pretty much. But Yankees fans, the immediate reaction by Yankees fans.
I like how this episode, by the way, is already like it's really a Yankees therapy session. It's like
we're going to get into it.
It's the best way.
But I always say this. I understand what I'm a fan of, and I can see the gray area with everything because I don't live in nonsense. I'm not a nonsensical blind fan. Like, I completely understand. That's why I get so defensive with Judge, because you're just trying to find literally like little hairs to hate about him. There's nothing to hate about the guy. Maybe because he's just so attractive and you wish that was just your daddy, but he usually is everybody's daddy. So,
well, even in the playoffs, that's a good example because Yankees lose immediately. Judge bats 500, and nobody cares because Toronto killed the Yankees in the entire series.
But it was still his fault, Scott.
Bellinger doesn't show up. Grisham, I don't even know if he got a hit in the leadoff spot. He was like 1 for 20.
You and I had him for hit. You and I had him for ALCS MVP, and he did not have a hit.
He was terrible. And that's the point. Is that Judge is always going to be held. It's an issue with baseball as a whole. I mean, Trout's the ultimate example of it, where you can only do so much as one player, and if your team's not very good, it doesn't really matter. Judge actually showed up for the playoffs last year, and they still got their asses kicked. So we're kind of in no man's land. But for the regular season, we'll get into it. I mean, their win total is lower than it was last year. So you could argue there is still room for them to underachieve and go over. But as Yankees fans, they should make the playoffs. The division is in question, but they're not terrible. I'll put it that way. As a starting point, we are spoiled a little bit. They are not a terrible baseball team. So I'll start there.
The Yankees, to me, it's Oscars day, so I'm just going to try and pull out this metaphor here. But the Yankees, to me, are very much like Leonardo DiCaprio in movies, because Leonardo DiCaprio has been nominated for Best Actor 6 different times in his career. How many times has he actually been serious candidate to win that award? Like, I feel like if I check Gold Derby for most of those years, he's like 4th or 5th on that list, but he's going to be in good movies. Like, you know that he's going to at least be putting out a good product. That's kind of how I feel about the Yankees with Judge. Like, every year, if Judge is playing healthy, they're going to put a good product on the field because he's literally a 10-WAR player. You have to, the rest of the pieces around him have to be such NPCs, not to take the word out of Berg's mouth here, but for them to literally not win 82 to 83 games just with that alone. So to me, like, I look at how the Yankees have been kind of constructing their team, and they've, in some ways, if Judge had went to the Giants, it almost would have forced Cashman to actually have to do some like legitimate critical thinking, because you just slot Judge on the team and the team is just automatically going to be good and they're going to sell tickets. Like, that's basically been their philosophy since he came up in 2017.
So look, I think like the reality, first of all, the infamous NPC Yankees team is that 82 wins team that had Jake Bauer on it. Billy McKinney was batting cleanup at one point, by the way. That was a terrible team that Aaron Judge literally put on his back. I think the biggest thing that I think of with this Yankees team is, you guys have all touched on it, of like, they haven't made moves, but that's not a big deal really for this team, because you have a 10-WAR player surrounded by guys that are actually going to be there. Nobody
steps up. Yeah.
Nobody. Yeah. And like, what, talking about a guy who stepped up, like, Ben Rice, like elephant in the room. Ben Rice is really good at baseball. Ben Rice did really well batting generally 7, 8, 9 until in the playoffs, and they put him up in cleanup. And by the way, like that, when I was looking at the who came, I had forgotten they had Paul Blackburn. Like they had a bunch of these guys that they had to fill in to pitch because they did have genuinely a bunch of NPCs. Like Cam Schlittler had to be pushed into a role where you needed to have like a legacy playoff game to do some of these things. And by the way, I really like Cam Schlittler, but Colby and I disagree on a couple things on him, but I do like him on some things this year. The biggest thing for the Yankees is that I think one, Toronto is gonna regress, but the other, the Orioles are not as bad as they were last year. So that's just going to take wins away from everybody. And you're going to be getting guys back. You're going to be getting, I missed, by the way, that Rodon got hurt. Like if we're talking about something that I remember betting
I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Well, Scott, that guy made Scott and I so much money. Scott and I had his outs on lock and his Ks on this.
But that's the thing. I think this year is a regression year. So it's good that he's hurt.
It's great. I missed. Yeah, but it's a serious injury. Like they are, like he hasn't picked up a baseball yet, and he had surgery in October, and like they've made it seem like, I mean, it's like it seems very bad. But you also have, like, you're gonna have Cole back, you're gonna have Schlittler, you're gonna have Charles Sproul, you have a bunch of these guys like Schmidt. You're gonna have guys.
You're bringing Jazz Chisholm back, who had a 30-30 season last year. Like,
right. Well, also, by the way,
either.
guys, Austin Wells is slugging 750 for the Dominican Republic thanks to like his mom being from the Dominican Republic. So
he's eating good.
He's doing great. He also, in that picture when they show the lineup, he just looks like this like you got this like one white guy with a mustache hanging out with all these Dominican guys, and it just looks. He looks like a narc.
Photoshop me.
He just looks like it's so great. But yeah, I mean, I would take this. I think the biggest problem a lot of us probably would say that we have in this lineup is too hurt to play, and that's what's his name? Shortstop.
Volpe.
Like, oh my God, what's that? Yeah, Volpe. Volpe's like basically been ostracized from the team. So
Well, are we under the belief that
over
he's
the
going to be
last couple of
starting
weeks,
over? You think Caballero starts over him, or you think it's actually going to be Volpe?
I absolutely do.
I think it's Caballero too. So
yeah, you have to. Like Volpe was a joke.
He played so much better in the playoffs.
In the playoffs, he was great. He also
he's fast. Yeah. The steals, yeah.
He creates a situation where Trent Grisham is what he's supposed to be. Suddenly, you have an RBI situation at the top of your lineup every single time.
I was just going to say, I think that, I mean, I was an advocate of this. I think you were too. They should have just dealt Volpe in the offseason and started fresh. Like it should have. I
don't think there's a market for him.
Better for both sides. I think he still would have been able to get something.
I think there's a market.
I was going to say, there are some dumb baseball
pitcher.
teams out there that you could have been able to float him around, especially with just some of the previous hype with him.
Adam, I think you underestimated how many prospects are in each actual, farm system. You can't give away your 20th best prospect for like Volpe or somebody. Like,
well, they have tons of guys.
I can see that.
That's the other thing. Let's kind of talk about that. Like this Yankees team is also just reloaded. Is anyone watching like Spencer Jones in the spring training?
Yes.
Like that dude.
They won't bring him up. They won't.
I know he's changed his batting stance about 4 times in 4 years, but he hits bombs.
Dominguez may not make the team because Spencer Jones is doing so. Like, what's the deal with that one, Colby?
I would much rather have Spencer Jones than Jason Dominguez. The problem with me and Jason Dominguez, they treat Jason Dominguez the same way the Guardians treat Manzardo. He'll play good, and then they'll take him out of the lineup where he can't progress. And then you got to make the mistakes. All the mistakes that everyone gets mad at him about, he's got to make to improve. But then he makes those mistakes, and then he's not in the lineup the next day. I don't understand that because we've been hyping him up since 2018. It's either get rid of him or keep him out there for an entire full season, which I think as of this point, it's over with. I think the experiment of Jason Dominguez has come to an end, and just bring up Spencer Jones because
he's not even on. I think he's starting in AAA, to my understanding. He's not even on the bench roster right now. He had a home run the other day against the Phillies, I think. But everything I had read in offseason was that he's like not even making the team. But like I don't know, man. It is hard to not want Spencer Jones in that lineup. I don't know. Like every week that goes by, I get a little bit more excited about this Yankees team. And this is it. But this is the thing is I thought that team we watch that team every year, like just turn it on when they need to. And, they won a division because they had what in 2024, they had a 16-39 stretch or something like that. And the Orioles still couldn't overtake them. Like this is, dude. I mean, it's
June and July tend to be pretty bad months for you guys.
Yeah.
It seems to be like
I'm all over the team total unders for weeks on end in the middle of the summer. It's great stuff. But yeah, I do want to point out the one thing about Dominguez, which I feel like is an overlying issue with the Yankees as a whole. It's prospect development. Because we've seen the same movie over and over again. The issue is when the Yankees are constantly in win now mode, you sometimes can't afford to let the young prospect make mistakes because you are trying to win a World Series. And if they're viewed as being just not ready or as a liability, they're not going to play you. But at the same point, the player is never going to get the actual reps needed to improve, and the fan base wants to shoot the guy. So at no point do you have any confidence building these young players. And if you look at the Yankees farm system year in, year out, bunch of guys with upside, and it usually doesn't work out. It normally results in an underwhelming platoon guy, and the Yankees fans never actually let them get confidence because the second they make a mistake, the Yankees fans are cursing them out in the bleachers. So you're kind of just stuck because the Yankees are an impatient fan base, constantly in win-now mode, and because of that, your young players never get the ample time necessary to develop. And Dominguez and Volpe, and there's a really long list. There's a bunch of guys who maybe would have done better.
It's just Judge. Yeah, it's
correct.
Just Judge.
Judge has been carrying the entire prospect development pool. If you want to throw in Gary Sanchez too, you can. He had a bit of a run there in his rookie season, etc. But it's been that case for a while. There's a lot of young guys. Watch this guy through the pipeline. He shows up and you get Andujar, or you get like a couple of random guys who barely play. So I'm not surprised Dominguez has kind of fizzled out. But it's a long-term picture.
He's been good the last 3 days though. He's been mashing the ball lately because now that they're telling him you may not make the team, he's just been clubbing.
The point though is that Yankees prospects or young players who are projected to do big things in the future tend to fizzle out, whether it involves the actual mindset of the minor league system for the Yankees with fundamentals being non-existent, and Dominguez can't field, or the lack of confidence that the fan base also instills into the players. So I'm not surprised Dominguez hasn't really worked out because most Yankees prospects don't work out. No. And that's why the Yankees trade half of them all the time.
To add on to your point, just think of if they brought up Spencer Jones and he just has Jack Caglione's rookie season, they will be asking for him to be sent back down.
They will drive him to the airport.
I'm like, hey, I'll drive him to blank. Yeah. I don't know. You guys
not a good sign for Mr. George Lombard Jr. I'll just say that.
That
is another guy in their system that they desperately need. I want to pivot here real quick because I want to talk about we can riff all day on the management and the ownership for the Yankees and how poorly this team is still run, but Judge covers a lot of holes. I want to get your guys' take on a couple different players for some different futures markets here. And one of them is a prospect that may actually work out in the Yankees' favor. Maybe this is the best prospect the Yankees have had since Judge. That might be a little bit of a hot take, but let's talk about Schitt's Creek. Cam Schlittler. He's going to be listed as your second in the rotation right now behind Max Fried. Obviously, Cole's coming back. And Adam, I know, and Rodon, but we'll see how effective Rodon is.
Yeah. When we get to it, I have a comment.
Long down the road, potentially Schmidt.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you've got
the rotation. The April and May are Fried and a bunch of depth starters and
Warren,
depth guys. Let's be honest.
Weathers,
no one who's pitched 100+ innings. Yeah.
Okay. So here's my first question: is Cam Schlittler at 50-1 for Cy Young an insane bet?
Why? Why thumbs down?
Because actually, remember I teased before we hit record that I had a future bet that I liked. I like Cam Schlittler's over ERA at 3.85. I think there's I think what we saw in the postseason was just lightning in a bottle, and I just think it's regression. I think he has a little bit of regression. First full season. I don't have high hopes. And I don't know if I'm going to bet it. I just think it's a good bet to take is what I'm trying to say.
You've had that for a bit because I have at CJ, we have the opposite side. We have if his K stuff is what we think it is, because keeping in mind that like not everybody's really seen him, and he was pretty solid when he came in midseason. 150 Ks is 3-1 for him, which if he gets an extra workload, which he's going to have to do for at least 2.5 months, then suddenly that looks doable. But he does have the underlying hard hit metrics are concerning. But I mean, are you just have you always been an all out fade on him, or like what's kind of your thinking?
I just think it's just like that one game he had in the postseason. People are like thinking the next year is going to be great. It's going to be great to have him in the rotation type thing. I don't know. It worries me. It's just like anything else. Like like we talked about, nobody steps up. That's where I'm worried.
Yeah.
That's the thought.
My only counter to that, Colby, is because I was looking to see like what is he listed for Rookie of the Year? Well, he's not listed for Rookie of the Year. He threw too many innings last year, so people forget he threw 87 innings. I think most people's introduction to him, if you're not a Yankees fan following the team day to day, was the wild card game against the Red Sox. But this is a guy that still had a 27.2% K rate, 8.6 walk rate. He had almost a 30% called strike whiff rate. Like, elite stuff when it comes to striking guys out. So Cy Young, I'm only saying that just because it's a player that's going to get a lot of attention. He's going to be at the top of the rotation early in the season. It's a number that could crater pretty quickly. I mean, Scott, I'm kind of interested in your take on him as well. Maybe if it's not Cy Young, is there any market you'd be looking to back him on, or are you on Colby's end that you're not really buying him yet?
Well, I like the strikeouts, which I know that Adam and I were into a couple months ago. But for the Cy Young, look, it's 50-1, so I'm not going to roast it too hard because it's good value for a guy with upside. But I think there's a couple reasons why it could potentially not work out. A big reason why Colby might be fading him is because he did only end up pitching 73 innings last year, and he had a couple of playoff starts. But congratulations to the new number 2 starter. What can possibly go wrong? I feel like you're expecting a lot for a guy to replicate what he did. I don't want to compare it exactly to Savage on Toronto, but kind of a similar idea. You had this youngster who immediately exploded onto the scene, had a great playoff run. Suddenly, by the way, now you're just going to walk into 200 strikeouts at an ERA of 2.7, and you're going to be in the Cy Young running. Like, you're asking a lot to repeat with a much bigger sample what he did in a really short sample last year. So I think that's why people might be a bit lower on him. I like him in general. I think that he's going to be a solid pitcher overall. He has a certain confidence to him, which I do appreciate. At the same point, though, do I think he's going to be a Cy Young guy? No. My concern for the Yankees, even though he's, of course, going to be getting a lot of publicity entering the season, do you think a Yankees starting pitcher can actually win the Cy Young while being in Garrett Cole's shadow for about the last 4 or 5 months of the season? Because I don't know. I feel like once Rodon and Cole come back,
what Garrett Cole are we getting though? That's the question.
That's a fair question too.
I mean, his velos looked good from everything I've read. Yeah, it looks good.
Just throwing it out there though, because if Cole and Rodon come back and you end up moving Schlittler down back to the starting pitcher 3 spot or 4 spot, because you have Max Fried there too.
It's Fried, Fried becomes the 3.
Is an SP4 winning the Cy Young? No. So I just don't know how realistic it is.
We can go back and forth on this, because if he actually has a really hot start to the season, now I could make the case, all right, well, now you're facing the 3rd or 4th opposing starter, typically on a rotation for the other team. Like, at the back of the rotation is not always the worst thing to do. Like, it would maybe potentially help him in some ways. But either way, I want to move on to another player, another guy that the Yankees obviously are investing in, and this guy needs to actually hit for them to be successful and be good this year, and that's Ben Rice. Berg, I want to kind of throw this one to you, because this is a guy that you've been on pretty heavily. This guy's raking in spring training right now. Anything from a future side, a market, anything that you're kind of looking at with Rice in order to kind of cash in and hopefully it continues some of the StatCast stuff that we saw from him last year?
So I mean, Ben Rice's stroke is awesome. Like, that's the thing is watching him in the playoffs.
That's one way to phrase it.
Yeah. I mean,
don't pause on that play.
His stroke is awesome. I'll say it really softly into the mic. But so I have him for 90 RBIs at what do I have it at? I have it at 3-1. And I think that, first of all, if you're batting behind Aaron Judge, you're in an RBI situation, period, because the dude's going to get on base. We all talked about this. Criminally underrated guy with an on-base percentage like approaching 500. And if Trent Grisham can replicate even a fraction of what he did last year, then you have two guys on base. So I think there's going to be a lot of good opportunities there. The one thing that I just keep hearing I check Mining the News, every week, and we all do, for like Jeff Zimmerman stuff on Fangraphs. And every week a note that's coming out of Yankees camp is Boone's looking for more ways to get Ben Rice in the lineup. Like Ben Rice is going to play catcher sometimes on days when he's not playing first base. Like Ben Rice is still going to play against lefties. Like that is, first of all, you have like we're not like last year where they effectively platooned him and he still had a monster year. They are going to keep him in the lineup and push him into that. I mean, Scott used to make jokes last year on the few days that he was, when they had no catcher depth and they needed him to play catcher. Scott was like, we're taking stolen bases in this game. Right. Yeah. And then, and he's right, but they're willing to sacrifice that because they just want his bat in the lineup that badly. So I think Rice at 90 RBIs, I think that he has the role this year. I'm actually down on Cody Bellinger for a lot of the same reasons why I was down on George Springer in the Toronto episode. But the Rice overs and the Cody unders are sort of that's kind of the way that I'm attacking this team. And so Ben Rice is going to win some people, I think, this year. Their fantasy leagues.
Can I make just a quick counterpoint food for thought?
Yeah. That's
I like Ben Rice.
Podcast.
I like Ben Rice as I was going to give other people the opportunity to speak first.
But. What are you asking? Like you've never been.
I wasn't sure if Colby or somebody wants to jump in.
I was just letting somebody else talk first. That was
fine. It's fine. It's great.
I was going to ask though about Ben Rice because I agree. I think that he should be in the lineup basically all the time, not even just for his actual home run power, etc., but the at-bat construction is just very solid compared to the rest of the lineup. My problem is the issue the Yankees ran into last year is still, of course, present because they didn't change anything with the actual team. They were platooning him last year because they have two lefty catchers and a DH who can't open a bag of chips. So how are they supposed to actually not platoon Ben Rice when Austin Wells is also a lefty and Ben Rice has really not been good against lefties? I know he's supposed to play a lot.
Desperately needs right-handed bats. Like
no, but I'm saying, like, what do you do? Do you tell Austin Wells to take extra days off? Like, what exactly is the game plan here? Because Stan has to DH. Stan can't play the field. Yes. He's your official DH until he gets hurt. We'll see how long he plays, but still, he's locked into the DH. Austin Wells and Rice are both lefties, and you really can't bench Goldschmidt because he's so good against lefties, and he's one of the worst hitters against righties in the entire league.
That was the weirdest signing to me, was that they re-signed him. But
so you set up a platoon by default because Ben Rice is really good against righties and bad against lefties, and Goldschmidt is the opposite. And you have another lefty catcher, and your DH spot is already clogged up with Giancarlo Stanton, who's making a bunch of money. So how are you not platooning Ben Rice? You have the same roster as last year. Are you benching Austin Wells? Like, what are you doing?
Colby, go.
I just wanted to open up a bag of chips to prove that I could do it. I think it might be hypocritical for me to say this after everything we talked about, but I do think, like what you said, Adam, that Ben Rice with Aaron Judge, or he's behind Aaron Judge in the lineup. I think he'll benefit from that. He stepped up to the playoffs. He's already played in the most pressurized moments. So I think he'll be fine. I don't think he has that slump that some of us may be anticipating, but God, the Yankees really do love lefties, man. They love lefties and switch hitters.
I have never seen a
projected lefties in their lineup to start the season.
And that's low for them because usually, I have never seen a team that
they love switch hitters.
Sense. They should have signed Carlos Santana. Like, I don't know what they're doing. Like, what they're doing on this team. They
would have said that his pants were blasphemous. They're way too high.
Yeah. So I have never seen it. This has been for the last 7 years. This team is just like, right-handed bat. Forget that. That's that. Ew.
We have one.
Like, we have one. It's Aaron, the best one in the game. We don't need any other ones.
But what is the solution, though? Are you benching Austin Wells more often? Because I agree, Rice needs to play more. Rice is really good, but you have a lot.
At first, I think Paul Goldschmidt is the loser here. I don't know why Paul Goldschmidt.
was re-signed
on this team.
Like it doesn't. Unless there was some sort of handshake agreement to basically be like, you're going to be a platoon guy that we're going to bring in.
He's just the veteran presence that every team needs. He's
really good against lefties. I mean, he has a role on this team.
So
but
some of these guys.
He's the Dave Ross of the Yankees.
Yeah,
but he's
what do you do?
The promised land.
Is Wells going to play less? Is Dominican Republic Wells going to play less this season? What do you do?
No, I think Wells is there. Wells is their starting catcher. I think Ben Rice is their starting first baseman, and Paul Goldschmidt is going to have, 350, 400 at bats. Yeah, Paul Goldschmidt, but that's the other thing about this team, guys. Like, this team has a lot of good pieces that if things are going well, they actually have pieces that they could trade Paul Goldschmidt.
Okay. So I want to pause you right there. Yeah. Because this goes into the last thing I was going to bring up in terms of just like bets I think are at least interesting looking at. Okay. And if you're looking at the team bets for the Yankees, surprise, they're dog shit prices. You're not going to get really any good team future bets on the Yankees, nor would you almost ever get good team prices. Except when Adam, I think you bet them. Didn't you bet them to win the division at some point, like mid-season last year when Toronto?
Oh yeah, we both did.
We both did. Yeah.
20-1, right?
We were like rooting against each other because I was like, dude, we also pocketed the Toronto to win.
Yeah, but we had a perfect hedge on that. It was great.
We did have a perfect hedge. Yes.
We had a great situation because we waited one less thing I'll continue, but. So every year people were waiting for the Yankees to die, and like you never get value on it because like remember like when they started off in 2024, they were terrible in April and May too, and people were like, Yankees did not make the playoffs at 2-1. I'm like, that's a terrible price, dude. The market said fuck you to the Yankees very early last year. The fact we were getting bonkers prices on, like, market gave up on them like very early, and
that was like the end of July.
Yeah, they were only 7 back, and they were 20-1. Yeah.
It was right when Aaron got hurt because it looked like if he had a really bad injury, I was at least saying they're not making the playoffs. And then he came back and he was still an MVP. And you forgot about Cal Raleigh. Yeah, we remember. Yeah.
Still the best meme, by the way.
Who, by the way, has no hits. Who has one hit, by the way, in
2025 was the no thanks meme from Colby and
that was
Cal
great.
Raleigh argument. But
dude, sorry to derail, but Colby being incredibly petty in the best way about Cal Raleigh not winning MVP was probably my favorite part about the Yankees
last season, which was pretty funny. Okay, so as I mentioned, team markets. If you're watching this live, you can see it. Team markets for the Yankees, not great. The one thing though that I think is kind of interesting. All right, so Yankees are the second favorite for best record according to DraftKings. They are second favorite to win the World Series. They are the favorite to win the AL right now, and yet Mr. Aaron Boone is 22-1 to win Manager of the Year, and we are talking about a team that has a lot of different decisions that they have to make, that there are a lot of players and a lot of pieces that you have to maneuver on this team. And yet the market is anticipating, at least preseason, that the Yankees are very likely to be a 90 to 95 win team at least. Tell me why 22-1 on Aaron Boone. And I want to hear this straight from the Yankee fans' mouths themselves to tell me how dumb this bet would be. But I'm kind of like, all right, if I'm just looking at this straight from a market perspective and everything we just talked about, is it that crazy?
I'll go on that one. I love this play actually because we've talked about this when I first came on the first couple of times. We just talked about like how the books don't care about baseball and there's always going to be an angle. Like you had to think outside the box, like, hey, how can I really back the Yankees? You back Boone. That's really the only way you back them. I think it's a brilliant bet if you're somebody who actually believes this. I mean, I already have bets on other AL managers to win that award, so I don't want to get invested in that. Plus, I don't like the guy. I don't want to bank on him being there longer, and that's essentially what I'd be doing, betting that. But I do think that is a fantastic angle. Like you said, everything sucks. All the odds stink. There's no reason to touch that for preseason. Boone to win Coach of the Year, great bet.
Scott?
Yeah, I think that the way that I always interpret the award is basically the most improved team award. That's kind of how I look at it. It's just a team that really did not make the playoffs last year. And this isn't even just baseball. This is every sport. If your team missed the playoffs last year and you have a massive upgrade to your win total, then you end up winning the award. As you said, the Yankees won 94 back-to-back years. So I guess my question for you, CJ, and for the record, I don't mind conceptually the idea of the value at 22-1. I tried to make a case. I did the Manager of the Year preview show last year on SGPN. I made a case for Boone because Cole was injured and they had some preseason injuries, and maybe if the Yankees found a way to get to 100, he'd have a chance. The problem is, if the Yankees won 94 back-to-back years and Cole's coming back, and you're going to be looking at what should be a team with high expectations, as you said, they're favorites to win the pennant in the AL. How many wins do they need for Boone to actually win the award?
I mean, I think they need to win 100 games.
They need best.
I think they definitely win. But again, the record for here's my point. The market for best record and for them to win 100+ games is still almost half the odds that you'd be getting for Boone for Manager of the Year. So if they win 100 games, I would much rather have a Boone 22-1 ticket in my pocket than to just play the 10-1 on best record in that sense. And if you look at the managers that are listed right here, okay, top 4 managers for Manager of the Year. And this goes completely against the line of thinking you had, Scott, which also just means maybe you should go actually book this market. Dan Wilson, 6-1 for the Mariners. Stephen Vogt, plus 650 for the Guardians. Colby's
get out of get
John
the
Schneider
fuck out of here.
John Schneider plus 650. So Stephen Vogt, by the way, was it 2 years in a row? It would be 3 years.
In a row. Well, both leagues are 2 years in a row, proving that they didn't really pay attention to their ballots.
Plus 650. Alex Cora 7-1. AJ Hinch 7-1. Like, all of these guys are managers of teams that we expect or the market expects to be good, and it goes 100% against the idea of, well, most improved team. I tend to think, by the way, Manager of the Year, while that I buy that argument on the most improved, the NFL is really where that award is most improved. Yeah. But like that is where you want to bet Coach of the Year, is which team do you think is going to go from worst to first basically each year. I think baseball, there's a little bit more of some buy-in to managers kind of on just a great team. Like, for some reason, I think writers in baseball tend to want to reward great teams a little bit more than they do in football, where it's kind of spread out. Like, you never have an OPOY and an MVP basically on the same team. But I think if there's anything in pocket that I would want to put on the Yankees preseason versus just kind of waiting to see what happens regular season, the 22-1 on Manager of the Year is kind of where I'm looking. Because otherwise, like, I mean, what, you're going to be betting Judge for MVP at plus 225? Like, there's just not a lot of value that I kind of see on the board. So let's kind of bring it home here. Let's start with you, Berg. Any other preseason bets that you have on this team or that you like going forward before we round it up here with the win total?
So there's two that I like. So there's a lot of guys that I'm kind of fading for home runs and stuff. So I really don't like Cody Bellinger's home run number. I have it at, I'm seeing like 22.5, but he comes up in my, I made a filter that's effectively, let me just pull it up real quick.
Guys who don't mash. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's going to fade their home runs, but the alarming stuff on Bellinger is just that he still swings a lot on outside. And his barrel rate's actually still really low for a guy that, I mean, he's off a career year, first of all. He's older. And his barrel rate was still only 7.5%. Like, a guy who's going to be hitting 25 plus home runs consistently, that barrel rate is over 10%. It's 11%. His hard hit rate's on the lower side of what you see for like a power hitting guy. So I think it's at 22.5 or 23.5. I like the under that. I like that all the way down to 21.5, to be honest. You could pair it with Alex Bregman under home runs. I like that too. It's a soft way to fade him. But the one that I like, the bet that I decided that I like the most, this is a new one, CJ. I like Yankees longest losing streak of the season over 5.5 at minus 120, because I think that there are a number of ways that this gets there. First of all, they had a 6-game losing streak last year, and they still, like, by every metric, were good and did what they needed to do. But also the first 3 months of the season, at least, and we've talked about, or 2 months of the season, at least, we talked about this, they're going to be going out with an ace and then a bunch of depth arms. We're still not super jazzed about their bullpen. Bednar looks terrible, by the way, in WBC. So this could get there and they still do well, or the bottom could fall out and this gets there multiple times over the course of the season. So I think that this is pretty low. I mean, 20 of 30 teams had losing streaks last year of 6 or more. Guess who didn't? The Phillies. But the Yankees having this one last year, I think is something that, and the year before, they lost 19 of 23 games at one point, though oddly still didn't have a 6-game losing streak. I still think that the pieces are there. There are pieces that are there for them to have a 6-game losing streak. So that is going to be one of my ways of not softly fading, but not totally fading this team.
I really like that one. I like that one more than the Bellinger one, only because I always get weary with unders with them obviously getting to play in the Bronx. Like, I don't like Jazz's number. I think Jazz's number is egregious. I mean,
That's
cool.
wild.
He had 30. He went 30-30 last year. Cool. Okay, he's the 15th guy to do it. Whatever. I don't like him. I don't think he tries. I don't think he cares. Every time he goes up to the plate, I'm like, this guy wishes he was doing something else. That's how I view him. I think he's probably a good dude, but this is just me being an analyst, a fan of the game. But what is his number? 33?
Yeah.
That's egregious.
Wild. Yeah.
Not to mention he gets injured all the time.
Yeah. But he has the torpedo. Everyone should be pissed.
Yeah. Which remember that month where everyone was worried about that?
Yeah,
it was a month.
That week.
It was like 3 days. Yeah.
It was the third game of the season. Like, oh my God, you're cheating.
Scott, any players for you? Any player futures or team futures?
The Jazz under home runs I was going to mention because that number's wild. Yeah,
that's a call. What a call.
Adam can tell you, even before the Yankees traded for Jazz, I have never been a fan of Jazz Chisholm.
He can't track a fly ball.
I think he's more of a flash over pure substance guy, personally. That's kind of how I view him, but I think his performance in WBC speaks for itself. But anyway, I didn't mind the under for his home runs there. It's a massive number. I think that any injury could happen to Jazz. He's had injury issues in the past. I think that could be a problem too, so I like the under for his home runs. I wanted to, though, pivot just to a brief question about a potential bet here. I know we didn't talk about who's going to win the division or not. I know that you're previewing other teams as well.
Yeah.
The Yankees to win the division, they're plus money. It's plus 180. The Yankees to finish second is plus 280. I didn't mind the number on that. I think the Yankees, there are a lot of good teams in this division. So I don't know where you guys stand on if the Yankees get there anyway.
Too many good teams in the
what's
division.
What's their playoff? Well, what's their playoff?
At least at that price.
Yankees to finish third is 340, which I didn't think was enough of a jump compared to second.
No. It feels cute.
I thought it was cute, but that's kind of why I was asking. Like, do you like 180 for first more or 280 more for second? Because I like my yearly disappointing bet of Yankees to make the LCS, to be totally honest. I don't know. I guess because they're minus 270 to make the playoffs, which means they're not finishing lower than third, and they won't have less than 86 wins. The reason why I brought it up is because we talked about the Yankees, but we never actually discussed how we think they finish in this division. So I was kind of trying to steer the conversation back a bit. Do we think they win this division? Because I'm mentioning second at plus 280. There are a bunch of teams that I know that we think can be very good. You could argue 4. No offense to Tampa, they just don't spend any money.
See, right? I think Scott, if I'm going to play second in the division, fuck it, I'm just playing an exacta or a trifecta here because for me, like there are 3. Did you have that on the
Orioles episode? Didn't
yes,
you have that one?
Yes. Yeah. There are 3 clear. Look, go listen to our Toronto preview and you'll kind of hear why we think they're probably a tier below the Red Sox, Orioles, and Yankees. But if I'm trying to fade the Yankees, but I still want to get like a long price on them for finishing, I would just play either the you can play the Red Sox, Baltimore Yankees, and then Red Sox at 30-1. And then you can also play a couple other combinations of that. Oh, you can play the Boston and Yankees and Tampa. I think it's like 45-1 or something right there. So if I'm playing second, plus 280 is just that's not a good enough number for me on that, given that I think there's a decent amount of scenarios where this team could finish third. There's a decent amount they could finish second, finish first. But I would rather just, pay for one of the trifectas between those 3 teams that I do think are going to be in the top 3 of the division. I just don't know which order.
I get that. I guess what I was asking, though, just grand scheme of things, even if I'm not going to bet this, is more just to bring up the division conversation. Do we think they're going to win the division? ? Because we talked about this team, and I know that there are a bunch of teams that we might be high on in this division. Where do we think they do finish in this division?
Second or third and make the playoffs.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, this team, I know that
the
we
whole
got
division's going to beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah, they're going to be the crap out of each other and us. And that's the thing, is that this whole division is basically looking to just get in and get there and then figure it out then. And the Yankees also, if everything works out for their health reasons, will have a very, very good 3-man rotation for the playoffs. All right.
So let's bring it home, man.
Home.
Win total 90.5. Berg, I'll start with you. Are you over or under?
I'm over.
Colby?
You said 90?
90.5 is where it sits.
I
Over.
bet you get 91. 91.
Look at you.
Scott?
By a hair.
Yeah, I got them over by a hair. I had 92.
I love this. I love that we're ending the pod and
everybody watching.
Over 5.5. Over 5.5 losing streak.
Exactly what I knew was going to happen.
Yeah, I have a combo for this one. I have the Yankees going over the win total with the over Yankees misery throughout the entire season.
That's a good bet. It's even money. I heard.
Yeah. I think it's a good deal.
You know what? I'll take even another bet on that the Mets misery is going to be over that, Scott, since you didn't get to really get a good Mets jab at me in the last 50 minutes.
I was going to spare you. It's fine.
But by the way, like, talk about miserable seasons. You guys complaining about your team winning fucking 94 games, and I had to sit through the dumpster fire of the Mets last season to win 83 games and literally not be able to beat the fucking Miami Marlins in the last game of the year to make the playoffs. Like, This is why you're Yankee fans. You know, you don't really know what you got, but
you're fine now. You stole our closer. You're fine.
I just want to say I want justice for Mrs. Met, who got her Twitter deleted and now has to share it with her husband. That's BS. Just wanted to say that.
I thought
they're like a couple Facebook account now.
I thought Mrs. Met was like on like Truth Social.
So she used to have her own Twitter account, and then they combined it with Mr. Met, and people were like, "Justice for Mrs.
Cool.
Met."
I wouldn't let.
No, I don't like that either. I don't like that either.
Okay.
All right. Well, on that note, I want to thank again our guests Scott and Colby. Colby, where can we find you?
Right there, Colby M Bets on X. People still call it Twitter. I call it Twitter. It's never going to be X. Sorry, Elon.
Scott, what about you?
Yeah, if I'm on Twitter, Reichel Radio. Besides that, Adam and I kind of just follow each other around the entire time. So if you find Adam, you'll find
me. He is Adam's long lost son.
I was on Steffi's show. Someone in the chat described it as stepfather, stepson besties is what we were described as.
You're LMFAO.
Yeah.
Yeah. One last point, by the way. We're going to be in Vegas for March Madness. So if you're in Vegas, you can meet us. Fist bump. Nice. Yeah. No, it should be a good time. I believe with the SGPN crew, right, Scott? That's a whole group of you. Something drink tokens. We'll be great. Drink tickets. All right, guys. Well, that is going to wrap it up. Thank you everybody for listening again to another one of our team previews here on Dad's Bet Baseball. We have only a few more of these to go. So close to opening day, we can almost taste it. But make sure to tune in to the next one as we come up.